Good evening, Socorro, and welcome to KTEK News. I'm Rio Sessions, and I'll be your host tonight. We have a big show for everyone today, kicking off with reports of stomach issues that have been circulating around campus. We also have several students reporting that these issues could be linked to NMT dining. We also have an interview with SGA Chief Justice Aurelia Vargas to discuss some of the issues with election integrity in last spring's elections. And we'll finish off with a few campus and community events. So, first, the food poisoning, or the stomach issues incident. So we recently spoke with some students regarding recent stomach issues that have been circulating on campus. Many of these students report that these issues could be traced back to NMT dining. We recently interviewed a student who reported their experience with this. This student reported eating at Chartwell's on Wednesday over lunch. Then several hours later, they began feeling nauseous and throwing up, ultimately going to urgent care. Several hours later, this student recovered from the incident. There are reports of several other instances like this occurring over the past week, both from students and resident assistants alike. That said, there have also been reports of a severe stomach bug that's been circulating around campus. Either way, over the last week, we have had reports from faculty and administrators of attendance being noticeably low. We have been in contact with NMT Dining about this issue, who reported that they have had a lot of call-outs with regard to a stomach bug. Despite this, they assured me that they would take this information very seriously and get to the bottom of these stomach issues. Regardless of the cause for this particular instance, I would encourage students to talk to Dean Chapman about any concerns they have with any part of their campus living accommodations or any other concerns they have in general. Now, moving to last spring's SGA election. Joining us now is SGA Chief Justice Aurelia Vargas to discuss a recent report that student votes were not anonymous during the last SGA presidential-vice presidential election. Chief Justice Vargas, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Could you describe the circumstances that led to, in last year's election, student votes being viewed by some individuals?
Yes. So on Tech Connect, everyone who is an officer of the SGA, who is an officer in Tech Connect, had the ability to go into the election form and see who voted and who they voted for. This was available to anyone in the SGA who had those privileges on Tech Connect.
So this would allow any current officers that were running for president or vice president to see, or somebody to ask another officer who had voted for them?
That is correct.
And what was your reaction to hearing about that?
That was very, very taken aback by that. I don't think that reflects proper, privacy standards. That was one of the very first conversations I had whenever I assumed office, of Chief Justice, which manages the elections. I sat down and I said, "What can we do about that? How can I change that? I'm not a terrible fan of that."
Awesome. So speaking of how you're going to change it, what are you going to be doing to take matters into your hands this election?
So Tech Connect does have some limitations. You can't have a setting that allows you to have anonymous answers and to allow people to only submit once. So we are going to have the single submission, but I do have a feature where I'm going to lock the survey and I'm going to be the only one who can look at the results. So.
Okay. So in that case, election results will at least be confined, I suppose, for lack of better words, to just you viewing them.
Yes.
And it won't be, they won't be able to just be viewed by any SGA member.
Yeah, and I do consider it a duty of my office that I won't report that. I think it's student privacy is important in this matter.
Absolutely, I think we can definitely agree on that. Thank you so much, Chief Justice Vargas, for joining us and bringing some attention to student privacy and election integrity.
Thank you.
Now, on to the weather. This week, we're looking at classic spring in Socorro. So tonight, that's Tuesday night, we're looking at partly cloudy weather with a low around 29, so getting cold again. Tomorrow, Wednesday, is going to be sunny with a high near 63. Also on Wednesday, we will have a fire weather watch and a wind advisory in effect almost all day. So be careful about that. We're looking at winds that could gust as high as 40 miles an hour on Wednesday. Wednesday night, there's going to be increasing clouds with a low, again, nice and cold, around 33, with winds of around 20 to 25 miles an hour. Thursday is going to be partly sunny, with winds forecasted 5 to 15 miles per hour, so calming down a little bit. Friday will be mostly sunny with a high near 59. Thursday is going to be partly cloudy, and will be alternating partly cloudy and partly sunny throughout the rest of the week. Let's see. Spring in Socorro often brings high winds. Among other precautions, try to avoid trees and unstable structures while walking and be cautious while commuting. Hazards and obstructions on campus can be reported to campus police. Additionally, note that high winds can result in power outages. Off-campus power outages can be reported to Socorro Electric Cooperative via their website. Also this week, as reported in the El Defensor Chieftain, a suspect was arrested for setting fire to a building in Forget-Me-Not Veterans Park, a park that houses homeless veterans outside of Socorro. In this instance, a multi-purpose community space had been burned down. The suspect has been apprehended and charged with arson. More information about this was published on February 13th on the El Defensor Chieftain website. And now to some more campus news. The SGA currently has a few senator position vacancies that need to be filled this semester. If elected, this term would last until the end of the spring semester. Senators can earn up to $500 and they get the opportunity to engage with student government. Applications to run for senator are due this Friday, February 20th, and elections will be held next week. The form can be found the form to register can be found in an email from SGA Chief Justice on February 14th. Also, the bouldering wall safety course is available for access again if you want to get into the bouldering wall in the gym. The registration form for that can be found on the Physical Recreation website. This show is brought to you by the City of Socorro and the New Mexico Tech Class Department. If you have any stories you'd like to see reported, please send them to the email in the description. Otherwise, thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.